How's it, everyone? Welcome to another edition of my racket collection right here on OpenCourt. So today I'm introducing a racket in my collection that is regarded by many as the most popular Yonex racket of all time. So some of you might be able to guess what that is. And today I'm talking about the Yonex Ezone DR 98. Let's check it out. So first of all, I just want to say that I'm trying out a new string in this DR98, which I've never tried before. So I'm going to review this string right after I review this racket. So look forward to that string review as well. So the DR98 is regarded as one of the most popular Yonex rackets of all time because of its blend of precision, power, and feel and spin. So I have this blue and black version of the DR98. There's also a yellow and black version, which looks like this. I personally like this paint job better, which is why I decided to get this one. I bought this a few years ago in Japan, and it still plays very well. So what makes the DR98 so special? Well, according to Yonex, quote, "It improves the bonding strength between carbon fibers at the center and the bottom of the frame and reduces the weight shift to the top of the frame. This trans-weight system results in a racket head that reacts faster for quicker maneuverability and produces the fastest swing speed in Yonex history." Close quote. That's a pretty bold claim. So basically what that means is that this racket has a nice headlight whippy feel. It's very maneuverable, so it reacts quickly. It's good for reaction volleys. It's good for swinging fast to produce that heavy spin. So let's take a quick look at the specs of the Yonex Ezone DR98. So for me personally, I really like the weight and balance at 310 grams unstrung as well as a 310 millimeter balance. That 310 balance is on the headlighter side, which I really like. The beam is very interesting as well. It's 23, 24, and then 19.5 down here in the throat. So the throat is very thin, so this produces that power. It acts like a slingshot, so when the ball strikes the strings here, the racket will bend at this point like this and sling the ball back over the net. And that's why the Ezone series has always had a thin beam here at the throat, which results in more power. So this DR98 is loved by many players because of that blend of precision, feel, power, and spin. Do I like it as much as the general public? Well, let's get on the court and find out with the pros and cons of the Yonex Ezone DR98. So starting out with the pros of the Yonex Ezone DR98, obviously the biggest pro with the Ezone series, especially this DR, is the easy power. I can see why the nickname for the Ezone is the EZ1. If you get Ezone, it spells out EZ1. It has incredible pop and power, especially on the serves. Definitely the standout of this playtest was the flat and slice serves for me. They almost never clipped the net, and I was able to hit a heavy ball that forced weak returns, which allowed me to approach the net and hit an aggressive volley. Also, because of the weight distribution, it wasn't difficult to get the racket over my head on the serves. I was pleasantly surprised with the kick serves. I was able to get a decent amount of spin on the kick, even though there wasn't any spin technology, to my knowledge, that was incorporated into the DR. But because of the headlight balance, I was able to mix in aggressive kick serves. I rarely ever dropped a service game with this racket, and for me, it's probably the best serving racket that I've tried in the Ezone lineup. Also, that easy power translates to the net. It has easy put away power on those high volleys and those overheads. If I caught it cleanly on a high volley or an overhead, the ball rarely ever came back. If not, it went for a winner, and I really liked playing aggressive at the net with this racket. Obviously, the reason why a lot of people like the DR98 is for that precision and the control. And I definitely, going into this playtest, found that the Ezone DR98 had better control than I expected for a powerful racket. The Ezone lineup is supposed to be Yonex's answer to the Bobla Pure Drive lineup. If you guys have ever tried the Pure Drive, it's famous for its power, and so I was very surprised how much control the DR98 gets, and I think that's why the DR98 as well as its predecessor, the AI98, were so popular with so many advanced players because of that blend of precision and power. I do recommend stringing this racket at a higher tension though, because even though the control is good, this racket definitely still leans toward the power side, and if you put a soft poly or a really low tension below 50 for example, the racket can become a rocket launcher and you might lose some of that control. But the good thing is that the whippy balance creates some natural spin, which helps to keep the ball inside the line, so even aggressive players, those who have whippy forehand motions, can still find decent spin and decent control with the DR98. I felt pretty confident on baseline rallies and I could stay on the offense, which is what I like. I have tried various pure drives before and I can't quite say the same about that. The DR98 series definitely has better control than the pure drive, and I do think it's better for aggressive baseliners who want a little bit more precision. It's also very stable for a 98 square inch racket and is also good on defense. It's good on slice. It'll rarely lose a defensive battle, and it'll probably help you to transition from defense to offense relatively easily. And lastly, because of the isometric head shape, it has a very big sweet spot, and this big sweet spot translates to easy net clearance. Also, because of the 16-19 pattern, it has a high trajectory and it allows me to hit deep into the backcourt to keep the pressure on the opponent. I definitely like the Ezone DR98 better for doubles personally. Now, getting into the cons of the Ezone DR98, the biggest con that many of my friends personally agree with is that this is a pretty stiff racket. Usually the thicker beam rackets will always feel stiff because it's not going to be as flexible, and this one, although it's thinner than the pure drive, it feels pretty stiff, especially with higher tensions, which I do recommend for the DR98 to corral its power. I believe the best tension range for the DR98 is between 54 and 58 pounds, probably best strung with a poly. So if you're thinking about using a DR98, I probably recommend it for those advanced players who have established strokes and good form so that they won't hurt their arm. If you string this thing below 50, it's going to really launch the ball. And so if you're an intermediate level player who just wants a little bit more help with power, I think this could be good for you if you're stringing below 50. But if you have an aggressive swing, stringing below 50 is probably not a good idea. Also, because of that power, some of my aggressive returns sailed long at times. I like to step into the court and hit aggressive returns. My flat backhand definitely suffered more because the margin for error with that return is very small. I have to hit high enough where it'll clear the net, but I have to hit low enough where it won't fly long, and so my backhand return was a little bit more inconsistent than usual. My forehand return, because it has a little bit more topspin, I was able to keep it in the lines more, but the backhand is where I really had to be careful with my form. And lastly, just like with every Yonex racket that I've ever tried, this personal gripe still continues with the DR98. The grip size for Yonex rackets just feel bigger than the other manufacturers, so I like smaller grip sizes, and the Yonex grips have always bothered me. I do like the length. The length is good because it's nice and long. It's good for my two-handed backhand, but I wish Yonex would just make the grip sizes a little smaller or make it true to the measurement. If it says 4 1/4, it should be 4 1/4 around the circumference, but I don't think Yonex has any plans to change this. So lastly, who is the Yonex Ezone DR98 for? These types of tweener rackets cover a wide range of players, but I think the DR98 specifically is more geared towards advanced level players who have the established strokes, who can hit topspin, who has discipline with their form, and has a nice healthy arm, because this is a pretty stiff racket, and I definitely think that the DR98 plays best with a higher tension and a stiffer poly to corral that power and give you that seamless blend of power, precision, and spin. If you're an intermediate level player that wants to try the DR98, you can probably get away with stringing below 50 or stringing with a softer string because your swing is probably not that fast. But there's a reason why this DR98 is so popular with advanced players, and that's because most of those players will string it at higher tensions. It has easy power on the serves, on the volleys. Everything about this racket screams power, but you definitely need to have the technique and the spin and the healthy arm to be able to use this racket to its full potential. But if you can, it is a very, very fun racket. If you have not tried a DR98 or even its predecessor, the AI98 is still very popular. They're pretty old, but because they're so popular, they hold its value. If you can find one on the secondary market, I highly recommend it because the DR98 is viewed by many as the best Ezone of all time. thank you for watching this My Racket Collection review of the Yonex Ezone DR98 right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an OpenCourt.